Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a special session for CA Foundation. Uh, this is meant for any students who are going to take examination in the month of December this year or in the month of May 2022. All right, we'll be discussing today the introduction to business economics, the very first chapter of business economics. I hope you all know that business economics carries 60 marks, and combined with BCK, business and commercial knowledge, uh, which is worth 40 marks. So total business economics and business and commercial knowledge will be worth 100 marks. For every correct question, you will be getting 1 mark, and for every incorrect answer that you mark, you'll be getting a negative of 0.25 or 1/4 will be deducted. So before we start, let me uh, give you a very important piece of information about the CA Iconic program. Now this is the flagship program of Unacademy for CA Foundation aspirants. These are also available for CA intermediate students. Now, what are the benefits of CA Iconic program? See, you'll have all the benefits of Plus subscription. Additionally, there will be one-to-one personal coaching available. One-to-one personal coaching will be there. One-to-one personal coaching, one-to-one doubt solving session. It means you can interact with the faculty alone and you can clarify all your doubts. Your answer test will be evaluated. All right, there'll be a three-stage, three-pronged approach to taking mock test. I'll come to that. Printed books, obviously, and industry expert. They will give you insights into the world of CA. There will be Discord channel wherein there will be discussions between the students, the peers, and the faculties on the subject matter. Of course, there will be live classes, but recorded will also be available till the time your subscription do not expire. Weekly tests will happen, study materials will be provided, and unlimited access. It means you can watch the recorded videos as many times as you want, and the courses will be structured according to the structure provided by the ICAI. Now, as far as mock tests are concerned, three-pronged approach will be there. It means after completion of 40% of the syllabus, we'll conduct a mock test. Then after completing 80% of the syllabus, again mock test will happen. And then when finally the entire syllabus is completed, that is upon 100% completion of the syllabus, there'll be 100%. The mock test will contain will be corresponding to entire syllabus. Uh, the test will be followed by analysis and detailed evaluation of every paper, and you will get personal guidance and feedback from your mentor as well. Now let's come to the package. As far as packages are concerned, for Iconic Foundation, for 24 months, you have, if you take subscription, it means till 24 months you'll be able to watch the videos, recorded sessions as many times as you want. You have to pay 2417. For 12 months you have to pay 2917, and for 6 months you'll take 4167. These are per month charges. All right, so total will come down to this: 58,000, 35,000, and 25,000. All right, additionally, if you use this code Yeshas Live, you'll be getting discounts. So there is also CA Foundation and intermediate combo programs for which 12 months or sorry 24 months subscription will cost you 2750 per month, and 12 months subscription will cost you around 4152 5125 per month. And obviously you have to use Yeshas Live as the code. Don't forget to use this code. It's very important. You'll get additional discounts. All right, so let's begin with uh, the chapter. Now, introduction to business economics. Now, before we come to business economics, it is important to know what is economics. What is economics? What is economics? You see, the word economics has been derived from the Greek word, which means oikonomia. All right. Now, if I divide this word, hyphenate this word, oiko means household and nomia means management. So, oikonomia stands for household management. Now, many students get confused at household. Why household? Why not businesses? Why not government? Why not country as a whole? Because everything have to be managed. Yes, you are absolutely correct. But the thing is, remember, household is the most important constituent of the entire economic system because every resource belongs to the household. We say men, money, material, methods, and machine. Every resource. For example, do you think any business can function if there are no labor? Now, who provides labor to the businesses? One day you all will become CA. You all will be working in some firm. Some of you may start your own business. Some of you may be independent consultants. But the thing is, if you prefer, if all the CAs says they are not going to work, do you think any business can survive? No. Like if every engineers who are passing out from the college, they say I'm not going to work. Do you think businesses survive? No. Businesses run because it is run by humans. And resources, that is the labor, human resources are provided by the household. Businesses do not create household, it is the household which creates business. Let me take another example. Businesses need finance. Without finance, do you think any business can run? And do you think businesses can generate their own finance on the very first day? Not possible. Either they will have to go to the bank to take the loan, business loan, or they will have to raise an IPO through the capital market. But in both cases, or they can do both. In both cases, suppose the bank is borrowing from, businesses are borrowing from the bank. Now, somebody must have deposited money into the bank, and those money is channelized to businesses. Do you think bank will be able to finance any business if people do not keep their money in the bank? It means what I keep in the bank at fixed deposit, in the savings account or in the current account, the bank is going to pay me interest on it, no problem. But how the bank is going to earn interest? First, the bank have to earn interest to pay me interest. So the bank will lend this money to the businesses, whoever needs it, at a higher rate of interest. And whatever the interest income is there. After paying the interest to the depositors and deducting all the operating cost and everything, what is left is the profit for the bank. Then equity market. If suppose a business wants to raise money through the IPO, recently, Paras Defense IPO came, then Zomato IPO came, now Nike IPO is going to be launched. Now, who subscribes to these equity shares? Don't you think, apart from other financial institutions, a lot of these shares are subscribed by the retail investors? Now, they all belong to the household. Do you think companies like Reliance Industries or TCS would have become such a big company just by borrowing from the bank? Or no, they need finances. They need public to buy their equity and finance their business. So that's what I say, that household is the most important constituent of every economic system. Clear? Now you must know one thing, that every businesses have to be managed. Every business have to be managed. Do we have somebody here? Good morning. Good morning, Shalil. Now, why do we need to manage the business? Why do we need to manage the business? Because there is one thing that is a reality, that is an undisputed reality, and which gives life to the subject of economics. We say that there is what is known as scarcity of resources. Scarcity of resources, or we say there are limited resources. Doesn't matter how rich a household or how big a business is, there is always a scarcity of resource. Nobody can expand infinitely. Nobody can consume infinitely. They will have to manage their expenses. They have to manage their desire. Now say for example, You belong to a household. Your parent earns some money either through business or through profession. They may be doctors, engineers, CAs, or they may be businessmen and women. Now, when they earn the money, they will have various priorities, and they have to ensure that the money is spent according to the priority. For example, your education, some amount of money they will save for future contingencies, some amount of money they may want to invest if they want to buy a house in future. They must have purchased a car, they have to pay an EMI, or they would have already purchased the house, they have to pay again EMI to the on the loan they have taken. All right, so they have to set aside money for everyday daily expenditure, grocery, consumption of fuel, electricity, mobile phone. So they will have to allocate their money. Otherwise, if they don't allocate their money, it means they do not figure out how we can spend this money in a planned way, then there will be problem in future. So they will have to plan. Now the question is why they will have to plan? Because they have scarcity of resources. If there are unlimited resources, they can get whatever they desire for. Do you think any business or any household will ever have to plan? The answer is no. You look at the businesses. Businesses also have various departments: budgeting department, finance department, marketing department, sales department, production department, right? Now there is a budget for every department, and every time the budget is reshuffled, if it is found that either the budget is too much for this particular department, it will be reduced. If it's too less, it will be increased. But why to have? Because the money you are spending in business, anything comes, any expenditure comes, you just spend? No, that it means you are not planning. Without planning, your businesses will not be able to run. So that's why businesses also have to plan that from, if they are incurring some amount of money, that is the cost. This cost have to give some benefit to the business back. And if the benefit is more than the cost, then it will be able to generate profit or returns. But if the cost is more than the benefit, then some wrong decisions have been taken, or something extraordinary has happened in the economic environment or the business environment. So they will have to adjust their decisions, their strategy accordingly. You look at the government. Government plans for short term and long term economic goals. Every year we have a budget. Government of India comes up with a budget, and that is the case with every economy. Now, why the government makes budget? Government can raise money anytime. No, that will be irresponsible governance. That government's most important or core function is good governance. But if government is irresponsibly spending taxpayers' money, then that is bad governance. That government will be voted out of power. Now, when government makes a budget, government tries to figure out that which sector is doing good and it needs less money to be allocated, and which sector is doing bad, it means you have to allocate more sum of money to that sector. Say government found out that agriculture sector in the primary sector is not doing well, but the secondary and tertiary sector are growing, it is growing at a increasing rate. So government knows that if one sector is not growing and other two sectors are growing, then this particular sector will pull down the other sectors like secondary and tertiary sector in the long run. So government will have to finance agriculture. Government will have to allocate more money from the revenue that the government receives from taxes and other sources to help the farmers, to give them subsidy on electricity, to give them subsidy on fertilizers, pesticide, right? So and also give them loans at a lower rate of interest. Sometimes loan waiver program. It means government needs thousands of crores or maybe lakhs of crores of rupees. So government will have to also know that if I do not help this particular sector to grow, other two sectors will also be negatively affected. So government also does planning. Without planning, there is the economy cannot grow. So that's why we have to plan, and that's where economics become very important, because it is about resource allocation. All right, you have scarcity of resource, so we'll have to allocate the resource in the most optimal manner. So allocation of resources must take place in the most optimal manner. In the most optimal manner. Yeah, this is a special session. It will act as a revision as well for you guys. So when you have already attended my class, you just bear with me for 1 hour. Tomorrow again there will be 4 sessions. Today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and day after that, same time, that is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., wherein I'll be discussing different concepts. All right. So optimal manner. Now, why resource scarcity could become a problem? Because of what we know as unlimited wants. Unlimited want or desire. See, human beings sometimes are not able to distinguish between need and want. Need is something that is important for survival of mankind. Want may or may not be a need. I can say I need water, but I cannot say I need an Audi car. I say I want an Audi car. Because need is something that is important for survival. Want, when every want is not necessarily is important. You want an iPhone, you cannot say I need an iPhone. That is wrong. Maybe from English vocabulary's perspective it may be correct, but economically speaking it is not correct. So you have to distinguish between what are your wants and what are your needs. We have unlimited wants or desire. We want everything, but the world cannot provide us everything that we desire, because there are not unlimited resources. Had it been there a case there are unlimited resources, then every desire of mankind can be met. So we say that there is scarcity of resources relative to the want or desire of humans. And third thing that makes a job even more difficult are what is known as alternative uses of resources. Alternative uses of resources, it means one resource can be used in so many different ways. Now you have to choose, the economy has to choose the best possible way in which those resources can be used. For example, if there is illiteracy increasing in the economy, we need to spend more money towards construction of more schools, colleges and universities. And if we allocate more money towards some other activities, then the entire economy will suffer. You have to understand this. For example, if somebody is hungry, and if you give him money, what he must do with that money? He should go and buy food. But if he buys a lottery ticket for that, with that money, expecting that if he earns more money with the lottery ticket, he is taking a chance on his life. He is making a wrong choice. The odds of winning a lottery is maybe 1 in a billion. 1 in a billion. Alright. So he made a wrong choice. His life will be problematic. Likewise, every one of us have to make a choice, big or small. Now, every choice is not going to have a very big impact on life. Some will have very small impact, some will have very big impact. But we have to make a choice. So, as a society whole, if it's making a wrong choice, then the entire economy will suffer. So, these are the fundamental reasons why we have to study the subject of economics. Now, also remember, from these three things, that is scarcity of resources, unlimited wants, alternative uses of resources, there are some central questions that have to be answered. Now those central questions is related to the allocation of resources. Allocation of resources in the best possible manner. What we call are the central questions or central problems in economics. So central questions or central problems in economics, which are: number one, what to produce and for whom to produce. What to produce and for whom to produce. Now, what to produce is important. Why? And for whom to produce, they are interrelated. They are interrelated. What to produce, it means, should I produce more medicines or should I produce more mobile phones? You see, when the economy is suffering from pandemic, there is COVID, what is the need of the hour? What should we produce more at this point in time? What is the most important thing that is going to save people's life? Medical equipments, critical life-saving drugs, and most importantly, vaccines. So don't you think every economy during such time have to allocate their resources to produce the most important things? But if an economy prefers to produce more televisions and air conditioners and other durable goods or luxury goods instead of producing businesses producing these life-saving drugs and vaccine, then we are gone. We are doomed. So at any particular point in time, what should be produced is an important question to answer. For whom to produce is also important. If suppose 95%, 98% of the people in an economy wants good A and 2% of the people they want good B. If suppose 98% of the people want good food, clean drinking water, 24/7 electricity generation for supply, and 2% people they already can afford this, but they want a Mercedes Benz, a BMW, a Rolex watch, big mansions. Alright, do you think the government, the economy should focus on the needs of those 2% or focus on the needs of those 98% of the people? Of course 98% of the people, because even if everything goes wrong with those 2% of the people, nothing is going to happen. But if 98% people are unhappy, then the economy will never grow. That is, you have to keep in mind. Second, right, how to produce. It means, should you use more capital intensive techniques of production or labor intensive techniques of production? It means, should capital intensive techniques of production be used or should labor intensive techniques of production be used? Now, in an economy where there are abundant labor, there is abundance of labor available, and we adopt the most advanced method of producing any particular commodity, two things will happen. First, the cost of production will be very high, because in those economies which are labor abundant, usually they are undeveloping and underdeveloped economy. So they will have to import that particular technology at a very, very high cost. And secondly, what will happen? There will be large scale unemployment will happen, because those advanced machineries and techniques of production will require less labor. So it will be a burden upon the business and the burden upon the economy. So that's a wrong choice been made. So in a labor surplus economy, we should use labor intensive techniques of production. I'm not saying obsolete technology, but use a moderate technology which is neither too expensive nor too cheap, but it requires more number of labor. So what will happen? The business's capital cost on advanced machinery will decrease. At the same time, there will be no incidence of technological unemployment. Now there will be some amount of technological unemployment, but you have to always figure out that whether the benefit of technology is more than the cost or not. Clear? So, and if a capital surplus economy uses which have less labor, they use labor intensive techniques of production, they will have to import labor from other countries. In that case, the cost will increase. Why should they do it? Because they are advanced nations wherein the cost of technology is not very expensive. They can afford to spend on more advanced technology to save money in terms of labor cost. All right. So that is your second things. They all are related to allocation of resources, as I've mentioned already earlier. How to allocate the resources. So if they ask you what are the central problems in economics are related to, it is related to allocation or proper allocation of resources. So third one that you must know is that what provisions should be made today for future generations. Alright, what provisions? You see, if you grow at a very fast rate, this is a very one of the favorite questions of ICI. They keep asking that if an economy grows at a very fast rate year after year after year after year after year, in a very long period of time, let's say 40-50 years from now, do you think the economic growth can continue to grow, can continue to happen and continue to increase at an increasing rate? The answer is no. Because if you are trying to grow mindlessly to cater to cater to most of the needs of individuals, you are using all the resources that is given to us by nature, and most of these resources have took millions of years to form. In order to grow at a fast rate, consumption should also happen at a fast rate. Because what is GDP? GDP is nothing but the market value of all final goods and services produced. If your GDP is increasing, it means the value of goods and services produced is also increasing. It means quantitatively you are producing more. So if you are going to use up all the resources, don't you think the population is increasing but the resource is decreasing? The future generation will not have enough resources to maintain that kind of economic growth of the past. And then the way it goes up, it will come down that way sharply. You see, 80% of the natural resources in terms of oil, iron ore, manganese, copper, all the other minerals, 80%, in some cases 90%, some resources we have used up. And most of this usage has happened in the last 300 years due to the greed of human beings and greed of big corporations. Right? We are standing on the brass tag, we have destroyed the environment as well, ecology as well. We have gone into the jungles, chopped up the trees, and then we are blaming the animals like monkeys and other animals, wild animals, coming to our house. They are not to be held responsible. We are the ones. They would have never left their habitat to come to the urban cities if there were enough jungles left. So we are responsible. One football ground of Amazon forest, worth of Amazon forest, is cleared every day. One football ground, can you imagine how big it is? Every day that much of tree is cut, and at this current rate, within the next 5 years the entire Amazon forest will be barren. So can you imagine how huge is the Amazon forest? This is considered as the lungs of the world. Amazon forest is considered as the lungs of the world. You take away the lungs of the world, all the pollution in the air and everything which has been filtered out what will happen to those? It means we are going to choke in our own desire, because our desires is what generating more and more resources. So that's the problem. So these are the central problems of economics. Now there is something that you must know as well. As a favorite question of ICI again, that is economics a science or an art? Is the subject of economics a science or an art? Is the subject of economics a science or an art? What is it? Basically, it is both. It is both. Now, how we define an art? Art is nothing but application of knowledge. Application of knowledge. Application of knowledge in some. Now, it differs from person to person. Everyone may have got the same skill. All right, everyone must have got the same knowledge, but everyone doesn't have the same skill to apply the knowledge. You see, in every profession, some doctors, they make huge amount of money. Some doctors, are not able to make that amount. They are confined to one clinic for the rest of for the rest of their life. Some engineers, they make crores and crores and millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of crores of rupees in their lifetime. Some engineers, they are not able to get even 20,000 rupees a month. Likewise, some CAs are getting 1 or 1.5 lakh rupees, but some CAs are earning crores and crores of rupees. You will find this is common in every profession. What is the reason? A mechanical engineer must have studied the same principles of thermodynamics as any other mechanical engineer passing out from any other college. A chartered accountant from Bangalore and a chartered accountant from any other city must have gone through the same curriculum provided by ICAI. They must have gone through the same level of testing, and that's why they have become a CA. Then why is the reason that this bugger is getting less amount of money but that bugger is getting more amount of money? Why is it so? It means the knowledge that they have acquired, they are applying this knowledge in a very unique way, and that depends upon their skill. So that's why we say economics is an art, because it is this application of knowledge in this unique way which makes it possible to understand so many phenomena that we would not have been able to understand. That's why you have various different economic theories. Nobody before Adam Smith thought about the theory of absolute advantage. Nobody before Ricardo thought about the theory of comparative advantage. Nobody before Samuelson thought about various other economic laws. Nobody before Gaussen talked about the law of diminishing marginal utility. So these laws were these behaviors of the humans was already there, but nobody tried to figure out. We all knew that it is the case, but we were not able to generalize into an economic law. Likewise, theory of equilibrium given by John Nash, for which he was awarded Nobel Prize. Now this theory of equilibrium, you'll be astonished that it is applicable in genetic engineering as well, because nature also tries to always achieve equilibrium, just like a market can try to achieve equilibrium. So that's why it is a skill, it is skill and not only knowledge. Then why it is a science? Why it is a science? How do we define anything as science? How do we define anything as science? We define anything as science if there is a cause and effect relation. So we say there is a cause and effect relation. It means what? It means it means that every economic phenomena can be rationally explained. Can be rationally explained. Cause and effect. For example, what does the law of demand says? Cause and effect. There are laws in economics as well. You see, as there is a law in physics, like say for example, if I want to boil water and if I put a kettle containing water over the stove, the water will boil. Now there is a rational explanation that why does it happen. There is a transfer of energy that is taking place, conversion of energy that is taking place, so that due to which the heat transferred from one to another, from the object that is the kettle to the water, and it starts to boil. Likewise, there is a law of demand economics which tells you that if I tell you that that quantity demanded of that particular commodity has increased, then you can easily conclude that the price must have fallen down, because the law, that's what the law of demand says. So it means there are laws and generalizations which explain the cause and effect relation in our society. All right. So science defines everything rationally through cause and effect. Likewise, the laws of economics also tries to define everything rationally. But remember also one fact, that the laws of physics may not have any exception. All right, because if I drop this pen, it is going to go down. All right, it doesn't depend on my mood, your mood, what is the weather condition, where I am on this planet. It is going to go down if I drop it here in Bangalore or in Calcutta or in Chennai or in Calcutta or in Delhi, wherever I drop. There is no exception to this law. But the laws of economics deal with human behavior, and human behavior at times are not rational. So we have to exclude those irrationality through exceptions. So that's why a lot of assumptions and exceptions or exclusions are taken within the subject of economics, and that makes the subject of economics not a perfect science. It is a pragmatic science or a practical science, but not a perfect science. Why? Because there are a lot of assumptions and exceptions taken into consideration. So you have to remember that economics is a social science, pragmatic science, or a practical science. But it is not a perfect science, because it deals with human beings. Now that then comes the difference between micro and macroeconomics. Very frequently, at least two questions you can expect from here. So the economics as a subject has two branches, that is microeconomics and macroeconomics. So the subject of economics can be divided into two different branches, what is known as microeconomics, another is known as macroeconomics. Now remember, the word micro has been again derived from the Greek word micros, from the Greek word micros. micros, which means small, whereas macroeconomics has been derived from the Greek word macros, which means large. Now also remember, when the subject of economics was born, it was not the macroeconomics that was popular. If in fact people had no idea about macroeconomics or aggregate economics. So everything we studied was related to microeconomics. The birth of the subject of economics has taken place from micro and not the aggregate. Alright. But then we realized later on, after several decades, that if the micros are correct, the macro will be also correct. Because macro is nothing but an aggregate of all the micros taken together. So in fact we can say in a way they are interdependent on one another. So therefrom we started to understand the concept of macro. So microeconomics we say is associated with the problems of allocation of resources. This microeconomics we say is associated with the problems of allocation of resources. Alright. So as allocated with the problems of allocation of resources. Now micro means small. Why do we say it's small? Because it takes into consideration one aspect, a single aspect of the entire economic system, that is studied in detail. Alright. So we say that it studies individual aspect of the entire economic aggregate. It doesn't study the aggregate, one part of the aggregate it studies individual aspect. Alright, when I say individual aspect, it means one thing at a time, that is studies about a single household, any specific industry, or any specific product. Alright, that is what the microeconomics does. Single household, specific industry, or specific product. And due to this reason, due to this fundamental reason, that microeconomics, why it is known also as a worm's eye view, also known as a worm's eye view. A worm crawling on the ground, it will not be able to have an outlook of the broader picture, but he can study one thing in detail. He can do a detailed analysis of a small area. So that's why we call it as worm's eye view. Now in this case, if suppose I say the profit earned by Tata Motors, that is micro because I am talking about one company. When I say price of mangoes in the mango market, I am talking about maybe different markets, all market in every part of the world or in every part of the country, but I am talking about a one product. The study of that, how the demand for mango is increasing, what is happening to the mango market, anything, any study whatsoever, if it related to one product, it has to come within the definition of micro and not macro. Right. Even if I talk about a industry which is producing a single specific product, for example, When I say the study of steel industry, now steel is produced not by one firm in India, but many firms. Jindal produces steel, Tata produces steel, Arcelor produces steel, so many other companies are there. But it's one product. The industry for steel is an industry for steel. It is not an industry for anything else. Alright. So maybe I have taken multiple firms together which are present in the entire economy. But I'm talking about a one product in that industry that is produced. That is also study of, and that will come under microeconomics. If I even say a specific sector, study about a specific sector will not be macroeconomics, it will be micro only. For example, if I say how secondary sector has performed in India, that is a very general kind of a question that I'm asking. Now, secondary sector consists of so many industries. And do you think in the secondary sector only one type of good is produced? In the secondary sector, we are not only producing steel, but we are producing cement also. We are producing bricks also. We are producing toys also. We are producing other durable goods like air conditioner, refrigerators also. We are producing FMCG also. So am I taking one thing or one specific industry? No. So that will be macro, not micro. Alright. But if I pick up any specific product in that industry, that will be micro. Alright. So and macro, how do we define macro? Macro is, the meanings is large. So what does macro tells us? It is study related to overall averages or aggregates. We say it studies overall averages or aggregates. Everything clubbed into one. Right? Not individual, but the entire economic system. All right. The, or you can say macro economics covers a broad spectrum of industries and products. Broad spectrum of industries or products. It studies multiple active economic phenomena taken together. All right. So it studies every aspect of the entire economic system. For example, if I ask you, what is the level of unemployment in the economy? What is the level of unemployment in the economy? Am I asking you about the HR policy of one company, or unemployment in a cotton industry, or unemployment in, let's say, uh, the gold industry or jewelry industry or diamond mining or coal mining? Am I asking about one product? I'm talking about the unemployment. So you see, any country, if it calculates unemployment data and which is given to the public, that is for the unemployment data for the entire sector and entire country. You got sectoral unemployment data, it means how much of unemployment is increasing or decreasing in the primary, secondary and tertiary sector, and collectively what is the level of unemployment for the economy. So if you are taking one sector, in one sector like primary sector, we have got so many economic activities and so many goods are produced. We cannot consider it to be micro, we have to consider it macro. Alright, we have to consider it macro, because in the primary sector, if I say, you see, there is agriculture. Even in agriculture there are production of crops, cash crops and food crop. There are horticultures, fruits and vegetables are produced. There are minerals mining, natural gas and crude mining, forestry, animal husbandry, alright, fisheries. They all fall within the definition of primary sector. Now, are these industry, so many industries within the primary sector producing one unique kind of a product like steel industry in the secondary sector? The answer is no. So should I consider the entire primary sector as a microeconomic phenomena? The answer is absolutely no. So don't get confused in the examination. If they're asking you primary sector, think about, is it producing one type of commodity meant for one particular use? Doesn't matter even one particular use or not, because see, steel is used for so many different purposes, for dam construction, for power plants and so on. Uses doesn't matter. Product does matter. If you have multiple companies but one product, it will be micro. Alright, it will be micro. So secondary sector, again if I take, that is macro, because in the secondary sector again we are producing so many things. Likewise tertiary sector, service sector, again macro, because we are not producing one thing. In the tertiary sector you have insurance, banking, capital market, warehousing, advertisement, hospitality industry wherein healthcare is provided. Alright, professional, you will be a part of the tertiary sector, isn't it? After becoming CA, you will be a part of the tertiary sector. Why? Because you are going to create intangible. You will use your skill to provide your expert advice and analysis about a company. As an auditor, you will use your skill and knowledge that you have acquired over so many years, 5-6 years, to become a CA, to certify a financial statement that yes, this financial statement is true and fair. So I am the auditor, I am putting my stamp and signing this financial statement. It means that the financial statement has got a value. That financial statement has got a value. It means shareholders can trust those statements, alright, because it has been vetted by an expert. So you are providing a services. Are you creating anything tangible? Are you selling a pen or a mobile phone? No. But you are creating intangible for which you are receiving money. Now, do you think every intangible provided by every professional is the same? Do you think a doctor is also giving me intangible? Doctor is giving me his intangible services, prescribing me which medication should I have. So can I compare the services of a doctor with the services of a CA, or the services of a lawyer with the services of a financial expert? The answer is no. They all are producing different products. Just like in the industry, there is a difference between a steel and a mobile phone and a pen or a ceiling fan. Likewise, in the service industry, there is a big difference. There is a hell and heaven difference between the services of a doctor, a lawyer, and engineers, and a CAs. Right? So many activities. Are you producing one commodity in the tertiary sector? The answer is no. But if I take one specific industry, like for example banking sector in the tertiary sector, then I will consider it as micro. Understood, guys? Got it? No? Yes? So many comments you've got here. Got the idea? Alright. And if you have attended my class, remember I always say to the students, stick to the class notes I have given, because class notes will help you to score as many questions as possible. And before the examination, I also give you a quick revision note. From that quick revision note, in the subject of economics, only economics I am talking about, not BCK. Because if I include BCK, it will be even higher. In the subject of economics, out of 60, you can easily score 50 to 52, 55 marks. Alright. And if you include BCK, it means at least 85, 90 marks you can easily score. So quick revision note and the class note is the only thing that you have to focus and read it again and again and again and again. One thing with me is that I am not satisfied if I'm giving you only printed note. I am only satisfied if I'm giving you a write-up. Alright. So every faculty has a different way of teaching. I feel satisfied that my students will be satisfied when I write everything while I'm explaining. So when you have written, what is the advantage is that when you read something that is printed and you read something that is written in your own handwriting, you will be able to relate to it better than from a printed notebook. That's a psychological effect on every human being. All right. So that is related to micro and macro. So they will always ask you a question. Remember, dear, always ask you a question. You have to figure out whether it's a micro related question or macro related question. Sometimes one or two, sometimes two, sometimes three questions they end up asking, and they'll give you the example. They'll give you the example and what it is. Now, what is business economics? Let me come to it quickly. What is business economics and how it is related to the subject of economics? See, business economics is more rational and more logical than the subject of economics, because in business economics all the assumption exceptions have to be excluded. So when I say business economics uses the tools provided by the subject of economics to take business decisions. So what it does, it uses tools. What are these tools? Various laws and generalizations. All right, it uses tools provided by the subject of economics to help businesses take decisions. All right, it provides the tools, but why it is more rational and logical than the subject of economics? You see, let me give you one example. The law of demand says that there will be an inverse relation between price and quantity demanded. All right, but holding all other factors constant, like income, taste and preference, all right, a future expected change in price of complementary goods, substitute goods, and so many others. Even weather can change demand. During winter we want hot beverages, during during hot weather condition we want ice creams and cold drinks, cold beverages and cold stuff we want. Even weather can change demand. So do you think we can blindly adopt the generalization that whenever we give discount people will buy more, and whenever we charge more money people will buy less? No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. There are a lot of other things at play. Let's say, for example, if I'm selling, there are two markets, market A and market B. In market A, people's income is very high. In market B, people's income is very low. So if in market A, even if I sell at a higher price, people will end up buying. All right. But the law of demand says decrease price, quantity demanded will increase. Here even if I'm selling at a higher price, people will still buy. But in a market where people are poor, the law of demand will work. It means in order to sell more, I have to give them more discount. So can I mix both these two markets and apply the law of demand there? That in both the market we need to give discounts? Will it not be wrong? Because I'm missing out an opportunity here in this market where people are rich. I should not have given discount. That would have generated more revenue for me. Why? Because even if I don't give discount, people will buy still anyways, because their income is going to motivate them to buy. So why give discount? But there I have to give discount. But if I apply the law of demand, in both the markets I give discount. It means a wrong decision somewhere has been taken. So you cannot blindly take a decision based upon the laws of economics. So the laws are passed through a filter, and then after the filtration process you have to take a business decision using those laws. That's why we say that business economics and economics are interrelated, but a lot of exceptions and assumptions which are taken in the laws of economics, which makes sometimes these laws abstract. These abstractness have to be taken care of, otherwise businesses will end up taking wrong decisions, right? So today we'll leave it here, dear. Tomorrow again there'll be session with a new topic, so if you're free, please join in. It will act as a revision. 1 hour is nothing. So meet you tomorrow. Bye bye, take care, have a nice day.